One day as Jesus was standing by the lake of Gennesaret with the people crowding around him and listening to the word of God, he saw at the water's edge 2 boats left there by the fishermen who were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, the one belonging to Simon, and asked him to put out a little from shore. And then he sat down and taught the people from the boat. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into deep water and let down the nets for a catch." Simon answered, "Master, we've worked hard all night, haven't caught anything. But because you say so, I'll let down the nets." And when they had done so, they caught such a large number of fish that their nets began to break. So they signaled their partners in the other boat to come and help them. And they came and filled both boats so full that they both began to sink. When Simon Peter saw this, he fell at Jesus' knees and said, "Go away from me, Lord. I am a sinful man." For he and all his companions were astonished at the catch of fish they had taken. And so were James and John, the sons of Zebedee, who were Simon's partners. Then Jesus said to Simon, "Don't be afraid. From now on, you'll catch men." So they pulled their boats up on shore, left everything, and they followed Jesus. Peter, here's a tough-minded guy. He's not a wimp by any means at all, and he's a prideful man. And he falls on his knees before God because he knew that he was also a sinful man, and he confessed it. He still had a lot of things to change in his life, and he had a lot of growing up that he needs to do. This is just a beginning part here, and it's really not even the beginning point, because we'll find out that he's already met Jesus before, at least from a distance. So Jesus often went to the Sea of Galilee, which is where this was. We've got alternate names there. And he went there and he taught. And as Jesus taught, there people would begin to come. And these people would come from miles and miles around to hear Jesus teach. And whole families would come. And Jesus would be teaching there. You ever talk to someone that their personal space is different from yours? And you keep backing up and backing up and backing up and backing up. So here's Jesus. He's teaching. And the crowd is pressing in. And whole families are coming together. And I can see Jesus. He's backing up as he's trying to teach. And he's backing up and he's backing. And now where's he at? Where was he teaching? At the lake, right? He's at the lake, he's teaching, the crowds are pressing in on him, and so he's kind of looking around as he's teaching. He sees these 2 vacated boats. They're pulled up on shore, and nearby there's Peter, and there's the fishermen, and they're taking care of their nets. They've been fishing all night long, and they hadn't caught anything. So they're taking care of the nets. It might be quicker to take care of them if you never had any fish in them, but that's what they were doing. And suddenly, without asking, Jesus steps into Peter's rig, and he asks him, "Hey, put out a little bit from shore." And I think Peter's a little irritated. "Don't step into my boat. I didn't give you permission. And now you're telling me to push out a little bit from shore. I'm thinking maybe you should push out. Get off my rig." And irritated, I think, Peter cooperated reluctantly. And then Jesus sat down in Peter's rig and taught the people from the boat. So once Jesus was done preaching, he turns to Peter. He says to Peter, "Hey, why don't you put it out into deep water now? We've been in the shallow stuff long enough. I'm done teaching. Let's put out into deep water. And then, you know those nets you were just putting all together? Let down the nets for a catch." I know you just got them all sorted out and folded up and put together and all that, but let's go fishing. For Peter, I think this was too much. He resists the command, but he does it, and his partners, they push off from the shore. They navigate their boats out into the deeper water. Down deep inside, though, you have to realize that Peter already knew that this man was no ordinary rabbi. He could not escape that reality ever since Andrew had introduced him to Jesus on a trip to Jerusalem. But on this particular day, Peter went back to his old ways. Even so, he and his partners, they generated enough energy to cast their nets back overboard once again. With much sighing, I'm sure. Here we go. Monumental waste of my time. But the results were dramatic this time. And they caught so many fish, the boats began to sink. Peter's resistance melted, and suddenly the churning sea really became a mirror of his troubled heart. And he saw himself in reality as who he really was. And he literally fell on his knees and he said, "Go away from me, Jesus. I'm a sinful man." Whatever Jesus taught that day, Peter went to his knees when the Lord combined his penetrating message with an early morning